Good day, UA and PU. Welcome back to Discussion Room 95.
Let's go.
So we know you guys are back because we didn't make you bored. Yay! Kidding. But in all honesty, we're here to give you guys a substantial discussion, so watch out for that. And you guys might be seeing some unfamiliar faces, including mine. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Who's gonna introduce first?
Siyempre ako.
Okay. Fine. Okay.
No, Ramon, you go first.
Okay, me first. Hi guys, I'm Ramon Yuseco. You might have seen me in one of our episodes, so all of our episodes. I am one of the hosts for the room, and I'm also the segments producer for the DR95. So yeah, that's me.
Hi, my name is Kyle.
Hello.
I am marketing head and one of the hosts for DR95.
Hi guys, my name is Marco Pantaleon and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Boson. Nice to be here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
and I'm
halata mo mo.
Leon, the host for this episode. Okay, so how have you guys been? Guys, how have you been?
Really bored.
Yeah, I'm super bored.
You're
Okay,
same.
I really miss school.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
sobrang.
that's just the truth.
I really miss school.
Debatable.
What? I really
Debatable.
Ako, I'm fine
Yeah,
right
guys,
here.
we've been stuck in this home for too long, guys. My hair is like going crazy now.
But
Yeah.
then again,
Yeah.
school is also another home.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I
you're not
agree.
wrong. You're not wrong. Gotta say.
Diba?
Second
Diba?
home.
Yeah.
Or I'm not bored. I
That's
mean,
good.
I'm so...
Me too.
Oo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, pero it's so nice na I can finally have a reason to take a bath. It took me, first time ko maligo in the past, 2 months.
Ew.
Oh
Naliligo ka
my
pala,
gosh.
Oo, kasi may show tayo, so kailangan ko na maligo.
Ano
Gets?
first time in forever?
Okay,
Gets,
moving on. So you guys, in relation to school, oh my gosh, we have been adjusting this quarantine period, right? We've been stuck here, like what we said. And it's clear that school has been present in our lives, despite the lockdown and all, right? And yet, the uncertainty of the situation has given us anxiety on what's going to happen next. So to lessen this anxiety, we are fortunate enough to have with us the former president of the University of Asia and the Pacific and the fellow, just kidding, guys, and a research fellow at the Center for Research and Communication, Dr. Mariano.
I was asked to comment on the arrangements being made for formal education in our present circumstances. I wrote down immediately what came to mind, which I will now read. I begin with questions. We continued online classes asynchronously. Have they been successful? Will we be able to cover the original syllabus? Or will the learning objectives be abbreviated? What about grades? Numerical or a pass-fail scheme? We're ending the school year earlier. Will that mean a portion of tuition fee will be returned? Who will carry the shortfall? The faculty and staff by a pay cut? Or the incoming scholars will have to be fewer? Just these few questions alone, and the list is far from exhaustive, show how complex the situation is. There are pedagogical issues to mind, as well as economic, social, psychological, political. None can be resolved in isolation from the others. None can be answered by simple yes or no. And I don't have the data even to hazard guesses. What I do know is that we'll all have to pitch in, students, faculty, and staff, to make the decisions work. So here, I'll just sound off 3 ideas that I believe could support this collaboration. First, we cut our losses as soon as it's practical. It's unfortunate COVID-19 struck when it did, leaving little elbow room for the next term. We have lost much time, which makes it unrealistic to try to catch up and normalize quickly for summer class. At the same time, the situation remains fluid and adjusting to revised arrangements won't be easy. So I'd expect when the decisions come, they won't follow the most ideal scenario, meaning they will be based on the likelihood that quarantine will extend beyond April 30, at least for schools. If circumstances turn out to be more favorable, let's just be alert to the opportunities. Second idea, we segment the issues. Certainly, The situation of the graduating batch is different from the undergraduates. Whatever undergraduates miss out can still be made up. Only, I would expect a careful effort to recalibrate their real ground zero when they enter the next year level. The fact that there exists an institutional curriculum may have made us faculty take that for granted. Now we must look to it. But we must find another way for the graduates. Many of the decisions will revolve around the academic calendar, grades, degrees, and so on. Certainly, there's real work behind these, and real effort, and real accomplishments. But there are also social constructs. So, if the premier universities agree to somewhat soften the usual standards, our graduates will not be disadvantaged if we follow. We're living in historic times. A pass in this year's transcript of records will not raise the eyebrows of a prospective employer. However, the real stuff, the real learning should be attended to. So, continuing education should be strengthened to meet the shortfall in education. I think, too, we should provide special effort for graduates who need to work out, and in many cases, to rework their career strategy. Third, and I believe most important idea, we keep uppermost in mind our core commitment. UAP's mission is clear, whole person education. It's there in the curriculum, which we must respect. But there too are concrete, current social realities we must learn to open our eyes to, and our intellects, and our hearts. Let me briefly mention 3 ways in light of COVID-19. Number 1, the challenge, even as we struggle with the syllabus, is for class learning to make sense of what's really happening around us. We cannot be learning in an academic bubble. Class learning should habituate us to look for the real big picture. As the LCLG Dean wrote recently, to understand in a deeper way our society, our government, leaders, public policies, international cooperation, and so on, in light of what we're experiencing with COVID-19. I'd count 2 on what we can learn from the natural mathematical sciences. As we know, many decisions concerning quarantine and social distancing come from scientific and statistical studies of COVID-19. Number 2, we must also learn to contribute actively to disaster mitigation. I'm aware some students and alumni are presently engaged in outreach, but I can remember when there was much more of it. Sure, the disaster now buffeting us affects everyone, and quarantine does pose a challenge. But UNP students have not been known to lack empathy, imagination, and creativity. And 3, above all, we must teach and learn for the future. The world after quarantine will be different from the world before quarantine. Let's use the unprecedented amount of flexi time we currently have to strengthen the habits of learning. That is, to learn well how to learn on our own. For that also is what liberal education is all about. So there, cut our losses, segment the issues, remain committed to whole person education. These, I believe, are some ideas to guide decision making at this time. Thanks, and more power to DR95.
So we were able to hear the 3 points that he mentioned, right? So
Yeah.
let's run down on that. What can you guys say about that? Those.
Sige, I'll go first. Like, what I super loved how he was saying stuff like, he was explaining how complex of a situation everything is. As in, I super love how he, sobrang like super few words that sobrang laki na meaning when he says na parang, there's so many aspects, there are so many questions that can neither be answered by a yes or a no. May mga
That's
ganon.
true.
Mm.
That's
Diba?
true.
Sobrang ganda na parang that's and I feel like that's something rin that we need to ponder on, like especially like throughout the show na everyone from teachers, especially students, especially our generation, talagang we're waiting for that quick yes, quick no, quick decision.
Yeah.
Where in fact, we also have to understand na sobrang dami talagang, like sobrang daming aspects talaga nito.
Sobrang dami.
So, sobrang dami.
God.
Sobrang dami talaga aspects nito.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
My take on it is, nag-resonate sa akin yung pangalawang point. So the second point was the one I really liked. And the second point was we have to segment the issues. And so like what Kyle said, in times like these, you can't really ask for a blanket solution to everything. You have to see the problems in a, I guess, more nuanced perspective. Hindi lang yung blanket yes or blanket no. And so I think that's what really resonated with me. We have to look at it in depth, in the context it's given in. That's my answer.
Okay. Me, I really love what he said about like a pass won't really raise an eyebrow of a prospective employee because
Wow, nakinig!
I'm attentive right now. I'm attentive. Pero kasi I really liked it kasi it's really hard lalo na in our situation right now as students. This pandemic is really for everyone. So I really love that. At least someone said it, diba? At least someone said it out loud for me.
Yeah, actually, it's nice also because it's nice to get perspectives of people who you know.
Yeah.
And people who you respect that you know.
Yeah.
Kasi we can get perspectives from someone from the US or the UK and they'll have good perspectives, but it's really different if you hear a perspective from someone that you know or someone you respect. So
Or-
for me, it was
Yeah,
really
I
a
agree.
great perspective.
Or especially someone na talagang was in a position to make these
Oh,
kinds of
yeah.
decisions,
Yes,
diba?
yes.
Sobrang,
Very
Exactly.
insightful,
Former
very.
president.
sobrang
So I'm sure
idol.
he dealt with his own crisis.
Mhm.
Doc Mar dealt with his own crisis
Yeah.
in his own day. Yeah.
Yes. Raffie, what do you think?
Yeah. How about you?
Oo nga.
Okay, honestly, what really struck me the most was when he implied that education should be applied to practical life. So, for example, at this point, academics for me seem so meaningless just because, okay, we're in this dire situation where it's possible for us to get the disease and, what if we die? Knock on wood. But, for example, in one of my subjects, Asia Pacific, we're just coming up with summaries of the chapter. But what am I gonna do with my knowledge in that, right? I mean, we're learning about Confucianism in relation to capitalism. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm about to die. So I think what really struck me the most was when he said, now we should apply this to our practical life. So, for example, there's this thing called parallel track, actually. So it's basically aligning
that.
excuse me,
Research.
syempre, we promised to stop
Grabe.
Grabe research, bro.
Lalabas ko na Google ko. Teka lang.
Ako wala na ako ni
How many
research, bro.
tabs are
Can I
open
share,
yan?
please?
Yes, please.
Okay, go.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Sorry.
Anyway, so that parallel track basically is aligning the level of understanding of our academics and applying it to our practical life, right? So 2 weeks ago, Ateneo actually released a public announcement about the current status of the university, especially at this time of the lockdown. So they basically want to address both the graduating and non-graduating undergraduates of this semester, of the second semester of the school year 2019-2020. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard of that. You guys want to connect anything to what Doc Mar told
Well,
us?
the first thing I want to say is nakakaingit to be an Atenista right now.
Oh, agree.
God.
Agree.
Meron akong
Right.
graduating batch. Well,
Graduate.
all jokes aside, I think it was really proactive what they did. So, while a lot of the universities are sort of scrambling and trying to understand the whole situation, Ateneo really took a very proactive stance, and I think they should be lauded for what they did. So, what do you guys think?
But
Yeah.
like, okay, can I react to that?
Yeah, go.
I do have to say though na with and I agree and I agree and I agree
And I
and
agree.
I agree that Ateneo to some degree like dapat talagang mapuri sila or they should be commended. But at the same time, it's not right naman to demonize other schools kasi hindi ginawa yun. For me,
Yeah.
like looking at the other schools and what they're doing, including our school, like everyone's trying to do their part naman eh. They're
That's
doing
true.
what they think
Yeah.
is right for their students. So, wala lang. I think I'm just sticking to the logic. And it wasn't like this before. Like, recently lang to when I really, like, dug in deep to what's happening to the different schools na, for me, parang, alam mo yun, commend natin sila, pero let's not demonize our school because at the end of the day, they did what, like, they exceeded what needed to be done. Like, you can't demonize other schools for just doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yun yung logic ko.
Actually, ang maganda pa nga dito, it's that, well, sorry, before Ramon and Raffie give your input.
Okay.
It's nice to see how Ateneo, UP, and UST in particular are handling it. Not because any one of them are right, but because you see how important these decisions are specific to their context. So, what do I mean by this? Like, UST can have a different context and different situation than UP, for example. UP can have a different context and situation than Ateneo. So yeah, I agree with Kyle na we shouldn't be too quick to judge our own administration for maybe the sort of decision making, but we also have to take into consideration that these are models that we can use to compare and contrast what's happening in our university. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I would agree na it's actually very proactive kasi they were like the trendsetters Ateneo. Like for me lang, Ateneo. It's like they started it. And then biglang UST came and then the other schools. But you know, what really runs in my mind is what's happening to UANT. Like what's the next move? So what's the next move? Kasi that's the concern of everyone.
Yeah. Well, as of now, it's distance learning. Right?
Distance learning.
But I don't know.
But one of the points that was also raised was the refund. And I think we've heard a lot about that. Like a lot of us want it for sure. But I mean, okay, just to defend UAP.
Go, defend!
Defend.
Okay, if you think about it, they want the refund because we're not maximizing the utilities of the school. I mean, the facilities of the school, or our profs aren't it's used for the salary of the profs, right? But if you think about it, the financial implication on the university is in terms of the projected expenses. So, for example, I'm sure that the school has a projected expense already on our tuition fee. But of course, I'm still for the refund. I mean,
yeah.
and then
but
I'm
like,
just saying,
okay,
you know what I mean?
Ramon.
Yeah,
Ramon,
but
go.
for the refund with Ateneo, I actually read their memo about it. If you get a refund pala, you wouldn't get the cash, you wouldn't get a check.
It's carry over.
Yeah, it's carry over to the next sem. Yeah. But it's different for the graduating students. Like they can get it through check and so yeah, I think it's really good kasi even the outstanding balances you're gonna get to pay for it. It's actually beneficial for the students.
Yeah, and
is.
ito medyo like call it the activista in me, pero like in some weird way kasi I keep like sobrang tinamaan kasi ako sa sinabi ni Doc Mar na parang we need to compartmentalize how we think about these things, right? And like if you really try to like di man dumb it down, pero like simplify the questions, like is the school in service of the students or the students in service of the school? So yun yung point ko na parang do I have to pay for your capital expenses or why do I have to pay for like you? When we're paying because we have an exchange of services and all
That's
that.
true. That's a very business perspective.
Since something I learned then since I'm BA major, BSBA proud, BA, diba? Parang it's just this was a fortuitous event, and for students to pay the exact same amount that you would pay if we went to school, use the utilities. Mas understandable for even maintenance salaries, right? Like kasi every day nilinis nila yung school, which we super appreciate by the way. Pero like for students to be expected to pay the same amount is kind of like bizarre for me. Kasi going back to the first point I was trying to make, like, is the school service offering a service to the students or is the student servicing the school? Kasi, di ba? Do you get me?
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
And actually, well, it's hard. I think it's really much more complicated than a simple business model like that.
Yeah.
So, for example, going back to what Raffie said, what if these things in our tuition fee are, what's the word is? Forecasted expenses?
Forecast.
Projected.
Projected
Same
expenses. So,
Weather
That's
forecast.
another difference in scenario between the UANP case and the Ateneo case. So maybe in the Ateneo case, they already have all their infrastructure, they already have their buildings. Therefore, they have enough, or maybe they also have, I don't know, savings, pero they have enough money to refund that. As opposed to ours, we are a relatively small, but more than anything, we are a growing university. So maybe like all these sorts of information and tidbits, we really need it so we can come up with a really, I'd say, holistic decision. So it's not just porkit ginawa ng Ateneo to, we follow it. Like there's so many
Exactly.
things to take into consideration.
Yeah, we're a different school naman. Yeah. But
What
do
do
you, but do you
Nah.
guys think? Do you guys think na it's because we're just like a new university, a relatively new
Yeah, or like we're
university?
small.
Oh
or
Yeah.
my
Do you think-
something.
gosh.
do you
Are
think
we
there's a
going to
connection
debate na
there?
now?
Do you think
Are
there's
we
a
going to
connection?
debate na now? Wala pa nga
No,
tayo
what
sa
do
big
you think?
questions
What do
eh.
you think, Boss
No,
Kyrie?
I
Opinion.
disagree
Finish my
with
boss, guys.
with Marco's point. I disagree. Like, or
No.
actually, I disagree
Oh,
with
okay.
all your points. Like, I don't
Really?
care. I don't care.
Why?
Like, okay. I don't care if madaming capital expenditure, madaming investment on the line. At the end of the day, there is a consumer or a student, and there is a service provider. Like, regardless of the status of the service provider, I do not care. Kasi, my point is, I am paying to get something back, your service. So, if I'm not getting your full service, I don't care kung anong status ng business mo.
Yeah.
This is an exchange.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So business is
okay.
I love the
Valid,
school. I'm just
valid,
saying. I love the
valid.
school.
Oh, yeah,
I love the
okay,
school.
valid.
It's a very valid point.
Yeah,
Valid point.
valid.
But then again,
It makes
like,
Yes.
for me, I'll try to question what Kyle's trying to say.
Ito
Yes,
na.
go, Boss
Aga
Godfather.
pa.
So for
Sorry to
example,
start.
Kyle, when
Game.
what's your entry year in UANP?
What?
What's your entry year in UANP? 2015.
Yes.
So for example, in 2015, you walked into the UANP campus. There's CAS library, there's MPC, there's a basketball court. Don't you think those facilities were paid for by the students who came before you? So us, yung obligation natin as
Exactly.
students ngayon is to sort of pay it forward for the students in the future. Parang ganun. Do you understand the point?
I agree and I agree. And like yun nga iniisip ko parang when I was talking, oh my gosh, if you pull the we're a community argument,
We're a
I'm so
family.
doomed.
We're a family.
Pero like,
Yeah,
pero
we're a
okay.
family, Boss Kyrie.
I am?
Right.
I am a family.
Okay. Anyway, but like, no, but that, okay. Pero
Okay.
you can't, like what Doc Mar said kasi these are historic times. These are like once in a sana nga once in a few generation kind of like event na hindi tayo pumapasok sa school eh. Buti, okay, the batches before me never got locked out of the school this long. And if sila umangal sila na parang, you know what, we're not supposed to pay tuition, and hindi ko nakuha ang CAS Lib, or hindi ko nakuha ang ALB, or hindi ko nakuha some facility, that would be fine with me kasi that's your money. That actually, that's not even your money. That's your parents' money. So, di ba? Parang, wala lang. Ako, for me, feeling ko dapat lang, and we're not demonizing the school kasi like di pa naman natin alam kung ano gagawin nila eh, di ba? Pero I do hope meron some consideration for tuition, especially me that I am graduating, like Marcos graduating.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yes.
tuition.
Oh my
Sige,
gosh.
but like how much are you looking at? Kasi
No,
Ateneo
okay.
went for like 20,000 pesos eh.
No, I don't like at this point. Like what you said, we're a community. I really don't care about the amount. It's not the getting the money. It's the understanding that the school understands that na hindi na you may fair. Alam mo yun, may fair thing na. Because I know UANP. Like I love UANP. I've come to. Like, I've grown so much in UANP.
I'd say that the tuition fee that was supposed to be refunded to me, well, actually, wala because I'm a scholar. But assuming I weren't a scholar, I would like it to go to the service masters or the people who are in need.
Yeah,
I think that would
exactly.
be a good compromise. That would be a good compromise.
I'd rather
And
get my money
Not
like
saying that they need it more than we do. I'm sure we need it too. But I think at the end of the day, anything to help us as a community, I think that should be the mindset and frame right now of everyone.
Yeah,
We're
I
a
agree.
community.
I agree.
Yeah, and like in addition to that, like what Doc Mar said, he said now we should use this as an opportunity to still continue learning and growing, diba? Like as people, because after all, we're still under UANP and we're still practicing this liberal arts, and might as well develop
Yeah.
ourselves. Like,
Sobrang ganda
I'm
nga nung
kidding,
sinabi niya yun.
okay.
Some-
Anyway, so you guys, Boss Kylie and Boss Godfather. Okay, guys, they're my bosses.
what the?
Yeah.
Godfather
I'm
pa
still
rin.
here.
Boss
Yeah, Boss
Godfather. Okay,
You
so
guys
that's
are
Marco.
graduating, right?
Mhm.
How does that feel that you're ending it like this?
Like you didn't
For me,
really end.
bittersweet siya. Bittersweet. I hope,
Oh, yeah.
alam mo yung feeling na mananamnam mo pa yung cast ledge and the
Oh.
cafeteria and you get to hang out in the cast garden first. But it's so sad that my last semester here, I hope I pass all my classes. But the last semester here in
Pasado
UNT
ka.
is the last semester here in UNT. It's like from our home. I would never have expected this.
That's true. Would
same.
you guys... Okay, yeah.
Same. Yeah,
You know,
same.
like just remembering it happened so quickly.
Graduating ka na, Ramon?
No, bro. But I want to
Siyempre
graduate.
yung question para sa amin di ba?
Okay, Bossy, do you?
Invalid
What do you want
answer.
to say?
No, I don't want to answer anymore.
anymore.
So yeah, like but
You
it
wanna say
happened
anything?
so quickly, no? Like no one really expected it. But yeah, that's all.
Sobra.
Like
Sobra.
just one day, I thought it was like a suspension for 1 week, and then it's been like what, you know?
Yeah, they
Tapos
extended
Ramon was
me.
making jokes pa about it.
I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway. And then we also hear, of course, that that they will be implementing the Peer F grading system.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Personally,
Here we go.
bro.
Oh
Personally,
my gosh.
I don't vibe. Oh my gosh.
With
You
what?
don't
With
vibe?
I
PRF?
don't vibe.
Numerical ka? Numerical ka?
over
Oh
Peer
my
F.
gosh.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Come on, throw on your opinion.
Well,
You-
quick show of hands. Or what's your stance? I agree with Raffie in this case.
Numerical.
I think
Numerical?
I'm a numerical grading type of person, at least for the scenario we're in. What do you
Ramon,
think,
bro.
Kyle and Ramon?
I'm going for
bro.
Okay.
Bro, PRF ako,
Pass or
man.
fail, pass or
PRF
Okay,
fail.
ako.
let's go. Let's talk about it. Okay, who wants to go first? Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, you go.
Sige. Sige.
Okay. So, as a freshman, of course, I want a validation on the effort that I put, on the quality of the work that I put, right? The numerical grade will give me an objective standing, considering that it's more precise. You see the standing, right? You get to measure how much you have learned. So, for example, okay, I'll give you a situation. What if in this certain subject you were given a P, and then
Then great.
your numerical, diba? The numerical side of it pala.
Grade. The numerical grade, girl.
Okay, thank you, Boss Kylie.
God,
Okay,
PRF
the
talaga eh.
The
PRF
numerical
talaga.
grade is just 2.5 or 2.75.
Mm.
You
Okay.
realize that you didn't learn as much pala. Like, you're already satisfied with P. And then, yun pala, gets like borderline ka pala. So, you don't get to measure how much you've learned or how much it has been
Oh my
effective.
gosh.
Yeah, but
You know what I'm trying to say?
but right now
Raffie-
kasi, it's really hard.
Ramon, what do you think, Ramon?
It's really hard
Sige.
to get a new like if I were a teacher, I'd go with the PRF considering my
But
students.
you're not a teacher.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Oh!
And you're just the
I'm
first
kidding,
year.
boss. I'm sorry.
Tapos
That's
na.
all.
Tapos na. You're getting bullied by a first year, Ramon.
I'm sorry,
What's
I'm
going on?
I'm just too nice. Sige.
Okay.
I would go with numerical
Please.
kasi it's not even, it's really subjective eh. Like the grades, the numerical grades.
Exactly.
I mean, no, it's like
You
it's
want that.
subjective. It's not even objective. Kasi grades are supposed to be objective.
How is
Oh.
pass or fail objective?
It's
Oh
not
my
objective,
gosh.
but it's
Marco,
Don't-
but
mamaya
it's
tayo.
a less,
Marco,
it's a
let
less
the two-
part
let
of
the two fight
subjective
first.
for me. It's a less part of subjective. Kasi if you go with PRF, they wouldn't even know what's your real grade. They would just say na, oh, so pumasa naman siya.
Exactly. Then you don't get what you deserve. I mean,
It's
the
hard to
effort,
get what you
it's
deserve right now. Some people don't even have their internet. How would they get the grade that they deserve?
I agree. Ramon, I agree.
Diba,
Super.
bro?
Don't
Super.
worry, Raffie. I got us. Don't worry.
Oh,
Okay,
sige, sige.
let's go.
Marco,
We got
sige. What
this.
do you have to say? Go.
We have more to
Kyle,
say. What
ikaw
are you talking
muna,
about?
Kyle. I want to know what you think, Kyle.
Minor,
Sige,
minor
alone,
setback.
Marco, being all
Let's
plus
go, let's
special
go.
and only wants to be last. Okay, sige. You know what? You know, Raffie, I
Okay.
mean, Raffie, I mean, we're fam here, pero like, di mo ba napansin lahat ng argument mo, all throughout your argument, it was puro I. It was puro
Yeah, you're thinking about yourself.
I cannot gauge the dito. Other
Okay,
people
sinabi
cannot gauge. It's so introspect. Kakasabi lang ni Doc Mar and kakasabi lang ni Marco na we're a community and all that. It's a point of giving kasi.
Yeah.
I am
Sobrang
part of the
unfair.
community. I'm giving you perspective
Yes,
based on...
exactly. What I'm saying is it's
Exactly.
unfair to give a numerical grade. A numerical grade kasi puts us in levels. Ibig sabihin ikaw, you're smarter. You did better in this class than he did. And what if the other person walang internet?
Yeah.
Is that
Kyle-
fair? Hindi.
Kyle, I have a question, Kyle. I got you, Raffie. My question is,
Thank you.
kung wala naman talagang internet yung person na yun, then he would fail sa pass or fail system just the same way he would fail in a numerical system.
Hindi,
So that's
hindi.
out of the debate.
No, that's not out of the
debate.
debate.
Kasi
Oh,
kung
you're so galing, Ramon Marco.
Kyle.
No, that's not out of the debate.
Kyle,
Okay.
isipin mo, kung wala silang internet, both grading systems, they're both gonna fail either way. Now, what we have to talk about is the quality of the learning.
No,
Which I
no,
think-
Exactly. Your
What do you-
basis for the PRF is still the numerical grade because you're
Grabe,
technically still...
Ramon, yung mga numerical graders, di tayo pinapatapos magsalita.
Oo
No?
nga,
Kasi
why
like, hindi
not?
talaga,
Kasi
parang di
it's
natin
very
masabi mga
selfish.
point natin eh.
Diba?
They're very selfish.
Okay.
That's it.
Wait lang. Okay.
I'm listening.
Let me say my point and then
Okay,
kayo naman.
go,
Okay,
go, go. Go ahead,
so
go ahead.
my point is we are not in a simulated classroom to be
Okay.
graded na pantay-pantay.
Agreed.
'Di ba? So walang point to look at
What?
things na parang sorry na-disturb ako. Ang tawag dito, walang point to try to classify different people in a sense na ikaw mas mataas grade mo than this. Ikaw ganito. In terms of the not having internet, the people who don't have internet, who don't have the resources or even nga don't have a conducive environment for learning at home. For those people makakahanap pa rin naman sila ng way to comply with
So, kaya naman pala.
Kaya.
Okay.
So, pero yung mga sacrifices or yung mga parang bumabay, nahirapan mag-aral kasi sa bahay magulo or like walang internet, mas mabagal internet than others. I just don't feel like to be graded in such a spectrum na one is higher or lower. Kailangan nasa controlled environment ka. Kaya ka nga pupuntang classroom pag gine-grade ka. It's unfair. Like, ang ganda nga okay, going back, may sinabi USG natin na sobrang ganda, which is parang, right now, there are minorities and there are majorities. Pero as of this moment, it's easier for the people na merong capacity for quick internet to maganda yung environment nila sa bahay. Mas madali for them to adjust to those na nahihirapan, not the other way around.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
End of discussion. Okay, next topic.
No.
So, panalo. So,
Yeah.
PRF for sure.
No. Oh, my
no,
point
no,
lang
no.
is, I have 2 points actually. The first one is, if Kyle's point is that we don't want to discriminate with students who have no internet or magulo sa bahay, but placing a pass or fail system is still a discriminatory system because the people who don't have internet, they will fail anyway. So that's my first point.
That's
Wait lang,
Exactly.
Kyle. Wait lang, Kyle.
that's a
Because-
giant
Wait
Okay,
lang,
I have a
Kyle.
question. Wait, let's...
Wait lang,
Overstatement
can I get to my
yun.
second point?
Overstatement.
My second point is that let's look at the context here. And the context is we are in a university environment. It's not high school, it's not elementary, it's a university. And particularly for us graduating students, tayo, Kyle, our employers are gonna look at that. Here's some context. I'm a political economy student. Through my first 3 years in college, I took a lot of CAS classes, and I also took some majors. But now that it's 4th year, it's all majors. So if I send my transcript to an employer, like an institute or something, they will look primarily at the major classes that you took up in your 4th year because those are the most important ones that test your level of professionalism, your knowledge in that specific field. So it's not that, it's not, I think it would be a turn off for me if you see like a passing pair, it's a major class, like research methods or development studies. Like you need to know how equipped that student is from an employer's
Exactly.
perspective. So that's another perspective I'm coming from. At
Ramon,
saka,
Major.
if you-
Wait.
if you- okay,
Next.
for my
Okay,
last
okay,
point, at
go.
least for now, is if you step back and look at the pass or fail system, teachers would need to have a sort of criteria at the end of the day to say why a student passes, right? So my point is, if you're gonna make a student pass, you might as well give a number to that student so that at least there's an appreciation for the efforts, for the amount of
Exactly.
work that student
Precisely.
put in. Yeah. So those are my points.
Precisely.
I mean, feel free to disagree, Kyle and Ramon.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Ramon, ako
Okay.
ikaw muna.
I'll go first.
Mm. Oh
I
my
somehow
gosh.
I somehow
Nice.
agree naman with Marco. This is really hard for the people who are
Don't
graduating.
do Ramon, never
Yeah,
agree with the opponent.
wait. Hear me out. Well, it makes sense naman eh. This is really hard for graduating students kasi the graduating students right now, it's even hard to get a job, right? It's even hard to get a job right now. So what more the grades? Kasi the grades are, I'm pretty sure the grades have the biggest factor in an interview or in checking the background of
It depends.
of the applicant.
It depends.
Yeah, well, siguro, it depends. But yeah, but there's also an option. There's a school kasi na in their memo, it says na for graduating students, well, in the first
They have
case,
the option
yeah,
of
they have the
asking.
option of asking for
Exactly.
numerical grades. So
You-
I think I think that's very fair na.
It's a
Kasi,
good compromise, actually.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah, yeah.
compromise. Kasi, I mean, it's good for the people who don't really have internet kasi they can just get a P, diba?
Mm.
So, but if the people who really are working hard for their grades, they can really get their numerical grades and take it to their advantage, diba?
That's true. In fact, stemming from what Ramon says, I think that's a really great insight, especially if you take into consideration the second point of Dr. Mariano, which is we have to segment the issues.
Exactly.
There's a very strong tendency to blanket parang
I
blanket
agree.
proposal.
I
Pero
agree.
you know what? Let's separate. For graduating batches, baka
No,
ito
hindi
pwede.
nga for graduating.
For
Dapat
first
for
year to
kayo
third
lang
year.
Kayo lang. The ones
For
taking,
under.
kayo lang. The ones lang taking pre-law. Yung mga kumukuha ng pre-med. Kayo lang yung kailangan necessarily.
Yung numerical.
Kasi nga, like, Doc Mar was the one who said rin na, di ba, na any respectable or smart employer would understand the scenario right now. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko na parang feeling ko yung okay, super valid ng points ni Marco, pero feeling ko it devoids the fact yung talagang pinag-uusapan natin na parang ano bang mas ethical, ano bang mas proper, PRF or grades for everyone. Special case, yung ginamit mo na kunyari sa law school, di ba? Special case, ikaw specifically. Kami, we don't have law school. Kami, we go straight to work. Or like, kami, we don't have, do you get me? So, tama si Doc Mar when he was saying na sinong HR department of any company is gonna look up, but PRF? Pero nasa alam naman yan na nagka-corona ganito.
So they're gonna be more understanding.
Yes, that's gonna be more understanding. Number 2, what I'm saying lang is, sobrang overstatement nun na parang what you're saying is, if they're gonna fail, ang PRF din naman discriminating to some degree. I disagree with that kasi there's a difference. Okay, number 1, sobrang layo ng having a 1. Sobrang layo nun from having a DOS, having a 2.5, and failing. Failing is like a wide spectrum of anything
3.5.
under anything 3.5, di ba? So kunyari ako, so I'm having such a hard time at home. Sabihin natin nag-away na parents ko kasi may ganitong anxiety, bagal pa na internet ko, yung test online nung before bago pa ma-instill yung rules, sabay-sabay pa kami, ganyan, sobrang hirap. So I do everything, I work hard and I learn by myself, but the circumstances don't work with me to get a high grade, di ba? So pero nagawa ko lahat to pass. So 2.75. Is that fair to see na someone else didn't put the exact same amount of effort kasi okay naman internet, ganito, makakakuha ng DOS. I'm just saying na sobrang overstatement yun na parang, bakit PRF din naman, it puts you in a place. Yeah, but that's just yes or no. Did you pass or did you fail? So, if you want to move on to like talking about yung graduates and how this implies to graduates, iba-iba kasi per case, so feeling ko masyadong wild yun of a discussion. Pero in terms of PRF or numerical, being part of a community and being part of like understanding everyone, like for the hindi naman greater good, pero like for the good of the majority, PRF is like, yun nga, you're giving way or like you're trying to understand more people more than just assessing yourself through a grade. That's my thing.
Yeah, and even like there's only one thing that really stuck to my heart when they talked about Tier F. Wow. Kasi,
Stuck to your heart,
yeah,
ah.
it's stuck, it's still stuck here, bro. It's still
Hindi
stuck
your thoughts, ah.
here.
Your heart.
Yeah, kasi the reasoning for the pass lang, the automatic pass is when they went to school, they had their certain grades na, 'di ba? They're having like their grade, they're working on their grades. But COVID happened. So it stopped. What about those people don't really aren't really doing good this sem? So they now lalo na ngayon in COVID, they really don't have room for improvement anymore.
Actually, but then again, Ramon, so if we were still in school, it would be a little past midterms, in between midterms
Yeah,
and
a little,
finals, right?
yeah.
Yes.
And it's interesting because it's usually this time of the semester when students consult for
Drop.
their class standing, right?
Mm.
And for me, I mean, again, pointing to the case namin ni Raffie, which is numerical grading, you can only really, for example, your class standing is 275. You want it to be a 1.75. It's an indicator that your performance for the earlier part of the sem needs to be amped up and you need to improve. Therefore, yung mga final requirements like papers, like your final exams, you'll do extra better. Like you will do better, you'll do your best. So, huling hirit na. I think, well, like what Kyle said a while ago, the people who really don't have access to internet, I mean, as much as we want to be inclusive, we also have to think, I guess it's like the 21st century. And like what Kyle said a while ago, they're in the minority.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're in the minority, right? So the question now is, do we balance the interests of the minority or yung majority? If it's a pass or fail system, I really think people will be tempted to slack off. They'll submit the bare minimum because they feel like they can sit on their couch all day, watch Netflix, play Mobile Legends, play Dota, and
Watch
they can just
Korean.
submit watch Korean drama like Kyle.
Oh yeah,
What?
like Kyle, like Kyle.
Basic minimum.
What? That was Ramon.
So yun lang, huling hirit ko.
For me, sobrang flawed logic rin nun eh. Kasi in a sense, di ba, na parang the fact that we have to segregate na merong majority, may minority, is it still fair to grade people on the same standards tapos lalabas yung grade na yun? I'm actually trying to protect graduating students. Like, honestly. Especially those na a greater majority of the courses, which are like business and marketing, na don't have to go to law school or like, don't have to go to medical school. Kasi, alam mo yun, like, ngayon na nasabi na rin ni Doc Mar, and I totally believe him because I also work, sobrang magiging lenient ang mga companies in terms of like, oh, he got a PRF. Okay, pumasa naman siya. Pero we have, like, syempre it's in the back of their minds na parang, yeah, kasi nagka-corona eh. Pero, what about those who are graduating? Sobrang traumatic experience nitong lockdown na to. As in, ang hirap mag-aral. Tapos biglang may 2 point, isipin mo buong college life nila, G1 nila is like 1.75, 1.5. Pero sobrang hirap kasi nung situation nila, out nung nag-lockdown, biglang may 2.75. Is that fair to look sa company and they're like, oh my gosh, ano to, sobrang nag-slack off to. I think it's like mutual understanding to from everyone. From the schools, from the students, from the minority students to the majority of the students that are experiencing great like internet and like okay sa bahay, to even companies, to teachers, na dapat kung pumasa, nagawa nila lahat ng kailangan nilang gawin para pumasa. Period. Sobrang discriminatory na nun kung, ay, naging biglang bumagsak grade niya. Pero COVID, pero hindi eh. Kasi, at least hindi siya nag-slack off amidst the COVID. Sobrang unfair nun na logic for any company or any teacher.
Yeah.
Na i-grade ka ng...
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, so sorry, as in, huling hirit na dapat. Pero I have a question lang for Kyle or Ramon. If you're a student who's doing well in your academics and you really put your effort in it because you really see the importance of a liberal arts education, and more than that, the grades that you've been receiving is lines of one. So if you were that student and then they implement a pass or fail system, what would you feel? Would you be demotivated? Would you be mawawalan ba kayo ng gana mag-aral? What's the psyche then in that case? Kasi we also want to protect the students who are really trying their best despite the circumstances.
Wait,
ako na muna, Ramon.
Wait, I have a
Ako na
question
muna,
lang
Ramon.
din. I have a question. In this case ba, there's no option to like get any numerical grades anymore? No, like completely pass or
wala na
fail.
muna. Like, yun
Oh,
yung
sige,
compromise.
ako na
of
muna.
course.
Ako
Yun
na
yung
muna. And then
compromise.
you end it na, Ramon.
Okay.
For me, if, like, lalo na ako na medyo okay grades ko nung nag-majors na ako as compared to nung CAS, right? Kasi mas interested ako. But, ang tawag ito, I would say that given the situation, I will push myself to be mature enough not to care. Not to, as in like, pupush ko sarili ko na, grabe, ang dami na nga na nangyayari sa mundo. I'm going to feel bad pa. And besides, like, di ako kakabahan in terms of work. Like, I'm not speaking because like, may work na siya. So, sobrang insensitive naman itong guy na to. May work na siya eh. What about the other people na walang work? No. I'm saying na, kahit na wala akong work, I wouldn't feel pressured nga or sad. Kasi alam ko na, I did well my entire college life. Kahit madagdagan ng P or F yun, sa dulo, may kita ng companies na for the vast majority of my college life, before this NCOM, I was doing great. So feeling ko for me, it's just I would push myself to not be so sensitive.
Yeah,
Ramon.
I agree. I think in this matter, like it's all about like thinking about others na lang eh. Like you just have to think about the others and not yourself just for once. Kasi yes, you do deserve.
I agree.
You do deserve this unos. You deserve the praise. But how about the others that could have made it then? But what happened is the pandemic. It hindered them to get the grades that they were actually trying to run for. So like it's really hard for them. So if in this case, I'm the guy who gets straight unos, I'm just gonna
Yes, you are, Ramon.
yeah,
Yes, you
that's
are.
fine.
Reality naman, di ba, Ramon?
Yeah.
Reality naman yun.
Yes,
point.
go boss.
1 point. Yeah, so I'd rather just care for others na lang instead of just caring for myself.
Yeah.
So I'll go with
Well,
you.
Raffie,
I
what
have
do
a
you think?
question.
I mean,
Yeah, but don't you guys think that having the PRF grading system is kind of like a short term solution, or like just for the sake of appeasing your status right now? I mean, compared to the numerical system, you can give a measure to the quality of work that you put, right? So in the long term, you realize that you gain more knowledge, more skills, more values out of this. You get what I'm trying to say?
Well, if we're going to say now we're going to learn a lot from this, then let's connect this to what Doc Mar said. Because Doc Mar said, next year when we go back to school, we're going to start from ground zero again, from where we
I agree.
stopped. So
Yeah.
good
it's
point,
basically
Ramon. Good
going
point.
back
Good point.
to like second year
Yeah.
again, finishing second year. Diba? So
Yeah.
So mag-repeat ka, Ramon.
I know, bro. No, bro.
I mean, I super agree with Ramon. Buti sana if you take one subject for 4 years tapos you get 4 grades for one subject eh.
Yeah.
Buti sana kung ganun. Pero hindi eh. Okay, you get the P for your subjects this semester. Next year, it's a whole new set of subjects
Mhm.
and you get your grades there. So I don't think I agree, it is also a band-aid solution. Pero we really need a big band-aid right now eh.
Right now.
So, di ba?
That's true. That's true. Pang-caption yun,
Okay.
Kyle. Let's go.
Oo nga eh. Gagawa ng
Band-aid
poster.
episode.
Tapos may
Band-aid.
malaking band-aid sa gitna.
Okay,
White lang siya.
Well, it's good. Thanks for your opinions,
Yeah.
guys. Where does that leave us?
Yeah.
Good luck to the
Yeah, actually,
administration
it's up
on
to
when they
it's
decide.
up to the
Yeah.
management.
Yeah, and
Good
I trust
luck
their
to
decision,
the ends.
Sana
honestly.
PRF.
You guys have,
You just wanted to fight,
I
man.
think it's a good.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sure.
Yeah.
Raffie, alam mo gusto ko lang kampehan ni Marco.
Boss, I know secretly
No,
for
Raffie.
numerical.
I know
right?
we're both good
yeah,
students.
Of
So
course.
joke lang.
Quality,
Oh, you're graduating
quality,
also. Of
right?
course you want PRF. What are you talking about, Marco?
No,
I'm trying,
stop
I'm trying.
trying to see. I'm kidding. But anyway, we really have no final say in this, right? And I think a good compromise,
Yeah, it is a
like
bunch
what
of opinions.
you guys said, was to have a
What Ramon
choice.
said.
To have a choice if we want
Oo.
PRF.
Oh, what Ramon
okay,
said.
boss, ETA. Anyway, so we all have valid points. Congratulations, guys. You were able to bring that out. But the last say...
Pinawisan ako.
That's ang init nga eh.
But I think what we can do now is, of course, just wait for the school to discuss this and officially announce whatever there is to come, because obviously they know what's best for the school. And okay, before we end, I'd just like to give a shout out to all the proactive students and citizens out there, whether it
Yeah.
be distributing relief goods or creating PPEs, that's right, or donating.
Yeah, and even the ones like gathering info.
Yeah.
Like let's say
Yeah.
my second survey ng USG, good props to them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Never
Diba?
stopping,
Of
never
course.
stopping.
Never stop.
Okay,
Never
so I just want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to the following: Kasanga, Sabio, Squadra, UNICEF, PGH, and the Lung Center of the Philippines. So we really applaud you guys for sparing time for this. My gosh, you guys are our heroes. Okay, and we just like to remind you, of course, that this is purely a discussion, and we hope that this sparks a discussion among your peers or your family members, whether it be in the dinner table or through your Zoom calls, of course. And we want to know what you guys think. So, any closing remarks from my fellow hosts?
Can Marco be last? Kasi syempre,
Okay,
siya yung
the
boss
boss
natin
is
lahat. So,
God.
siya yung pinas-
Okay.
I'll go first. Like,
Okay.
siguro, for me, super appreciate talaga Doc Mar for giving us an insight on like what it takes to decide on matters as big as this, and like I just also want to like shout out like everyone in the UANP community na parang is really doing their best to not only voice out their opinions, like but also like people who are trying to make this easier for everyone else. I commend the students that you are still like you guys are studying so much. We are studying so much. Yes. Anyway, but like for the teachers who are like really, alam mo, imagine mo ikaw you're studying 7 subjects. The teachers are teaching like ilan, mga hundreds of students kasi madami silang class.
Yeah.
'Di ba?
Yeah.
The admin for like being like they made this guidelines, 'di ba? Maybe we can talk about that in a different episode. And then I just hope that all the words, all the opinions that comes out from everyone, regardless if it's in Dragon Freedom Wall, on your own page, your conversation with your friend, is really headed towards finding the best way to solve
I
this.
agree.
Not just hate. Alam mo yun, like, there's no, wala nang space right now eh. Wala nang, hindi na okay magbigay ng parang criticism na masyadong mataray or masyadong ang nag-e-emote. It's really like, let's all work together. Go voice out your opinions, pero please just have the benefit of everyone else in mind. Not just like, para lang makareklamo. That's my final words. Thank you, Doc Mar. You're a legend.
Yes, I agree to that. Doc Mar is such a legend. Kasi, it's good to get information from someone who's very credible, lalo na in UANP. So, after this episode, I guess people who watched are going to say na parang, oo nga, no, he has a point actually. So, this will
Oh, wow, si Ramon ang talino pala.
Ay, so for Doc Mar kasi. So after this, people are gonna get like maybe get to think of better solutions, how to deal with this thing we're going through, this pandemic. So yeah, I agree with Cal. We have to work together as students, teachers, and admins. We all are in one school, so might as well just work together. So,
Okay. Okay. So before
Yeah.
Raffie, mine is first of all, thank you to Dr. Mariano. Dr. Mariano is a former president, so I'm sure during his time as president, he encountered similar crises. Of course, maybe not in this scale, but he knows what he's talking about. So thank you so much, Dr. Mariano, for featuring on our show. The second thing I want to talk about is I hope people keep in mind the difference between criticism and just really trying to drag the whole system down. So
Yeah.
there's actually a really interesting quote. It's really long. I won't read it. It's called "The Man in the Arena," and basically the quote tries to engender that if you don't know what's like to be in the shoes of other people in the front lines, the leaders who are actually making decisions, reserve your criticism, criticize, but always take into consideration that more than systems, more than institutions, you're dealing with humans here. And whenever you think of something as big as the UANP administration or the Philippine government, always think that these are comprised of people. And like you and me, people can be good at the same time, people can have mistakes. So for me, yun lang. To help the effort against COVID-19 pandemic, let's all work together. Let's criticize each other in a positive light. And for me personally, I hope everyone's fine and doing okay at their homes and doing their best.
I just also want to highlight yung sinabi ni Doc Mar na maybe we should do more outreach. Maybe we should, di ba? We should join sa outreach. Maybe we can help in like, ang daming organizations out there like setting their different like means of like helping different people na nahihirapan right now. So, if you guys have the time or if you guys, actually, you know what? You should go on an outreach. Like everyone.
Let's
Like,
do it.
everyone should help. Yeah, let's just do it. Like,
After COVID.
yeah, go lang.
Madami.
Inaway tayo ni Raffie eh. So
Yeah,
feeling ko
inaway tayo
wala
ni
naman
Raffie
ako.
at saka si
Oo.
Mark.
Inaway naman tayo ni Raffie.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. We hope you tune in to our next one too. Bye.
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 Bye.